Good afternoon, my Real News Media TV family. Welcome back to the channel for another news update for January 4, 2024. And in the news this afternoon, police to crack down on motorists who use cell phones while driving. The Public Safety and the Traffic Enforcement Branch says in 2024 it will be cracking down on individuals caught using their cell phones while driving. Speaking with the news on Wednesday morning, Sergeant Demore Dawkins, who is attached to PSTEB, warned that the police will be taking a zero-tolerance approach to motorists texting or holding the phone to their ear while driving. He said the practice has contributed to a number of road crashes. More than 10,000 tickets were issued last year to drivers caught in violation of this provision of the Road Traffic Act. Sergeant Dawkins also warned there would be repercussions for motorists who install gadgets that allow them to view motion images while driving. About 4,000 tickets were issued for that offense last year. Where cell phone use is concerned, the sergeant reminded motorists to pull over to the side of the road if they urgently need to make or receive a call. He also advised that simply holding the device or touching the device is considered using the device, which means a motorist could be liable for charges.
We have managed to issue over 14,000 traffic tickets locally for both offences combined. We have issued over 10,000 tickets for persons using an electronic communication device, and we have issued over 4,000 for persons using a specified audio visual device. We still urge everyone who drives to abstain from risky driving behavior. If there's a call that is so urgent that you need to make or take, pull over to the side of the road, remain there until the call ends. Furthermore, drivers who install gadgets that allow them to view motion images while driving risk facing repercussions for their actions. Finally, a reminder, simply holding the device or touching the device is considered using the device. And this is something that we want the members of the driving public to understand.
Assault on Clarion teen shows inability to amicably resolve conflicts, says a children's advocate. Children's advocate Dan Gordon Harrison says the brutal beating of a 14-year-old girl on Holland Street, Denby, Clarendon on December 30 last year is an indication of the nation's inability to amicably resolve conflicts. A video which has since gone viral showed the teen being thrown to the ground and kicked several times. The incident reportedly stemmed from a love triangle involving the teen's mother, the mother's boyfriend, and another woman. Mrs. Gordon Harrison said the situation highlights the need to teach Jamaicans how to respond to everyday conflicts in a way that is socially acceptable and non-violent.
So if somebody does something to you, it doesn't mean that the first reaction is to buy a bottle of acid and wait until you see them or their child going to the shop. Or it doesn't mean that if somebody steps on your toe, you think they're dissing you, so you have to stab them. So for me, it's a broader issue of how do we teach our people in their everyday affairs of just normally going about their business to respond to conflict in a way that is socially acceptable and non-violent. I think that's where we need to look. They understand and they go home all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. And then they're faced with another narrative which says, really? Who tell you so? You're lucky. Boom. And then there's a situation at home. So what we have done as well is we have broadened the community intervention where we're not going to be having some of these parents going to PTA meetings and taking part in all kinds of associations and so on at school, but really going into the communities to meet these parents and these caregivers and broader members of the community where they're at, selling their goods by the clock, hanging out at the taxi stand, working in a bar because they have to make ends meet and the children are at home.
Jamaicans say poverty and corruption the main drivers of murder, says a poll. Poverty and corruption has been identified as the main drivers of Jamaica's high homicide rate. At least that's the consensus among respondents in the latest Don Anderson poll, which canvassed the public perception about the main cause of the country's high murder count. Of the 1,015 people who participated in the poll, 24% pointed to poverty being the most significant element driving up murders. But 23% of respondents believe corruption is the main culprit. While the distinction is clear for these two variables, A raft of other reasons were also listed by the respondents. 8% say indiscipline is the main cause, while 7% each say politicians and the family structure are to be blamed. Another 6% pointed the finger at criminal gangs. Meanwhile, unemployment, an unfair and inadequate justice system, and corrupt police officers at 4% each were cited as factors contributing to increased homicides. At 2% each, weak laws, scamming or get-rich schemes, domestic violence and laziness, or people not wanting to work were also considered contributors to murder. The field work for the poll was conducted between November 24 and December 7. It has a margin of error of plus or minus 3%. Lawyers for Gabriel Kings' mother awaiting update on murder probe. Lawyers representing Amoy Leon Issa, the St. James woman, reportedly under investigation for the murder of her 9-year-old son, Gabriel King, say they are still awaiting word from investigators on the status of the case. The Supreme Court had ordered Mrs. Leon Issa to hand over the password to her cellular phone to investigators to assist them in their probe. The ruling in November came months after legal wrangling between Mrs. Leon Issa's attorneys and the police over access to the password for the phone. She had previously refused to hand over the key, claiming her privacy was being breached. Following the ruling, head of the Area 1 Police Headquarters, Assistant Commissioner Clifford Chambers, announced that investigators were expected to make progress in their probe into the death of the 9-year-old after they received the passkey to unlock Mrs. Issa's cellular phone. But speaking with the news, Mrs. Leon Issa's attorney, Chukwemeka Cameron, said 2 months after the key was handed over to the cops, there is no word on the status of the investigation. According to Mr. Cameron, his client, whose reputation and name has been badly damaged, is eagerly awaiting word from the police. Gabriel, who was autistic, was reportedly abducted from his mother on January 13, 2022, along the Tucker Main Road in Montego Bay, St. James. He was later found in her vehicle, which was abandoned off the Fairfield Main Road. Mrs. Leon Issa told investigators she was attempting to navigate a pothole along the roadway when armed thugs hijacked her vehicle and sped off with her child. Broadcaster Jackie Norman in need of blood. Radio broadcaster Jacqueline Jackie Norman is in desperate need of blood, according to her family and her friends. The Mellow FM media personality has been hospitalized at the University Hospital of the West Indies with an undisclosed medical issue. According to a flyer, persons are being urged to donate blood at the blood bank in Kingston and at Cornwall Regional Hospital in Montego Bay, St. James. The Montego Bay-based radio station, on its morning program on Wednesday, also appealed to persons to make blood donations. Norman is the host of Mellow Cruise on Mellow FM on Sundays. She also hosts the other programs on the station. During the early 1990s, Norman was popular on radio stations such as Hot 102 FM. She also worked in the hotel sector and became one of the most sought-after pageant master of ceremonies in Western Jamaica. Brothers said among persons held during 6-gun find in Maypen raids. Following several operations in Oliver Gardens, Maypen, Clarion on Wednesday, January 3, detectives from the Counter-Terrorism and Organized Crime Investigation Branch, along with personnel from the Caribbean Search Center, the K9 Division, and the Clarion Division, bagged several firearms and over 80 assorted rounds of ammunition. Persons said to involve brothers were also taken into custody during a series of raids. The police said the overall seizures stemmed from the canvassing of a premises on Smith Avenue in Oliver Gardens, the home of an electrician from the parish. The initial search there yielded a 9mm pistol loaded with 4 9mm rounds of ammunition. A further search was carried out, during which 2 additional weapons were found in the ceiling of the house, a Sig Sauer 9mm pistol loaded with 10 9mm rounds, and a Minigap 8mm pistol loaded with 10 8mm rounds. An empty Sig Sauer magazine and 10 8mm cartridges were also found at the premises. Following investigative leads, the team carried out an operation at Alexander Avenue in Maypen, where a 23-year-old suspect was seen running from a house clutching a bag. He was apprehended and the following weapons were reportedly found in his possession: an Intratec submachine gun with a magazine containing 79mm rounds of ammunition, a Colt .380 pistol with a magazine containing 5.380 rounds of ammunition, and a plastic bottle containing 27.380 rounds of ammunition. Another premises in the area was searched, and a Browning pistol with a magazine containing 11 9mm cartridges was found. 2 men were taken into custody, but their identities are being withheld pending further investigation.
Audio Jungle.